think I will thank you because I think you got more laughs than I'm going to get. But never mind. When someone said I ought to read my poetry out loud and would I like to do a show, it made me rather proud. I've never done a show before, it might be rather fun. Can't be all that difficult when all is said and done. I imagine the expectant hush as I stood up to speak, folk hanging on my every word, the highlight of their week. I reached my finest verses, all immaculately rhyming, and everyone would sit in awe, astounded at my timing. But now I'm here before you, I've lost my self-belief. My mouth's gone dry, I'm sweating and I'm trembling like a leaf. Why can't I keep my mouth shut? I'm risking Murphy's Law and heading for that dreadful thing, pride always comes before. It seemed such a good idea 6 months ago. Anyway, thank you very much for all turning up in such numbers on a pretty rough sort of November day. This is a lovely little performance space, but it does tend to have a bit of a ghostly echo when it's empty, so thank you for coming. So, why Diamond Jubilee, I hear you ask?
Why Diamond?
Why Diamond Jubilee?
I didn't hear anyone else, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I'm one day out actually because it was 60 years ago last night, on the 7th of November 1953, that my big brother Nick, who I'm delighted to say is in the audience tonight, persuaded me, or perhaps I ought to say press-ganged me, into appearing in a dreadful little one-act play called The Man in the Bowler Hat, you remember of course. As a painfully shy, believe it or not, 15-year-old, I was reluctant to say the least. But spurred on by the fact that a young lady I rather fancied at the time was in the cast, I agreed to do it. Sadly, my love affair with the young lady didn't come to much. But my love affair with the stage, which started on that night, has endured to now. So, you see, Your Majesty, you're not the only one to have a gun. You've heard me babble. I said my big brother, and I said that with purpose because the first Proteus show he came to see, I introduced him to some of the cast afterwards. And later on, they told me they thought he was my younger brother. He always was a good actor. Right, let's go on with some poetry, shall we? Can't help noticing as I look around that one or two of you, like me, have reached, shall we say, upper middle age. It's something that comes to all of us if we're lucky. And it sort of creeps up on you, doesn't it? You're going along feeling great, and suddenly some little thing happens that makes you realise that you're getting on a bit. And this is about the day it happened to me. It's called Full Circle. I keep pretty fit for a man of my age, and they say you're as old as you feel. I take vitamin E and 50 plus. And the bread that I eat is wholemeal, which I spread with low-fat margarine to keep my cholesterol controlled. And when they opened a Keep Fit class, I immediately enrolled. Oh, there are a few signs of ageing, I know. I sit when I tie my laces, and the broad mind I had and the narrow waist, over time, seem to change places. When I go up the stairs, I go one step at a time. Then I stop on the landing and fret before going back down to try to remember what I've done. The ladies I look at nowadays are handsome rather than glamorous. Although I reckon that given half a chance, I'm not quite past being amorous. I run for the bus when I have to. I don't always get there in time. But all in all, I reckon there was plenty left of my prime. An incident happened last Friday as I travelled the Circle line, which made me feel that after all, I might be in decline. I boarded the train at Aldgate, all sprightly and fancy-free, and a woman in her late 40s stood up in front of me. I assumed she was ready to disembark at the next street, stop Liverpool Street. Then I realised with abject horror she was offering me her seat! But retirement in old age, of course, it isn't quite what it used to be, is it? I mean, in the old days, Dad would retire at 65. That'd be about it, really. I mean, he'd spend the summer pottering around the garden, the winter sitting around getting under his wife's feet as she carried on doing what she'd always done, the housework, the cooking, the cleaning. They might go to the cinema once a week, or the Derby and Joan Club. If they were lucky, they'd go to Southend for a fortnight in the summer, or Blackpool. But all that's changed now, hasn't it? I mean, most people nowadays, when they're retired, have got a car to help them get away, around. And the aeroplanes now, I mean, have shrunk the world. That fortnight in Southend has become 10 days in the Canary Islands, or a cruise round the Norwegian fields. And nobody epitomises this change more than Great Aunt Jane. This is called, What Can We Buy Aunt Jane? A great deal has changed since 2000, and not least Great Aunt Jane. She's suddenly changed her whole lifestyle. Frankly, it's a bit of a pain. She's now reached her 80th birthday, so I'm seeking a gift that she'll treasure. There's nothing she needs that she doesn't possess, so it's just a small token of pleasure. She's always been easy to buy for, with traditional aunt-type requirements. But then she subscribed to a new magazine about how to live after retirement. It seems you don't just sit there waiting to die, leaving all you possess to dependents, but cash in your nest egg and start a new life, displaying a fierce independence. She's signed up for night school on 3 nights a week. Girls only learned cooking in my day. On Monday it's welding. On Wednesday IT, and it's car maintenance on Monday and Friday. On Tuesday she goes to aerobics, and on Thursday she's pumping iron. I've heard she's taken a toy boy, a bodybuilder named Brian. An Edinburgh woolen shop cardi. She's never been known to refuse, but now she jogs round in a shell suit and Adidas training shoes. When the doctor inquired of her functions, he was treated to one of her smiles. Incontinence, where she spends her weekends when she's built up sufficient air miles. She used to be happy with bath cubes. These days she'd be quite appalled. Since she took Concorde to New York, she's had a new power shower installed. They say that ladies feel the cold and bed socks were once the norm, but her high-tech electric blanket, which wants her feet always keep warm. She was always a great correspondent, writing chatty letters galore. So for birthdays I gave her notepaper, and at Christmas I gave her some more. She stated a preference for Basildon Bond, and I always thought pink because she's female. These days she's got her own website. She corresponds mainly by email. Each morning she logs on to Facebook to keep track of her numerous friends. And now she's discovered Twitter, so goodness knows where that will end. Her blog about octogenarian life is a weekly treat not to be missed. Volume 1 has been published by Penguin and is high on the bestsellers list. And so I remain in a quandary. A decision like this requires tact. Can I buy the old lady that will keep her street cred intact? Oh, I'll just have to ask what she wants, neither get. It's safer when all's said and done. So I'll give her a ring on her iPhone and talk to her one-to-one.